What is up, Scrub fam? It's Monday afternoon. I just woke up from sleeping. I got in at 6:30 in the morning after I took my flight back from Vegas. I got to DC at 4 a.m. and then drove to Richmond, so I didn't get home until about 6:30 in the morning, and then I went to bed. But man, wow, Vegas was amazing. I can't even describe it. The experience of being in Vegas was amazing. I had an amazing time with everyone that I stayed with. Uh, Adam Percy, Matt Wyatt, Scott Oliver, Dakota Simmons, Admel, Michael, Justin. The entire shout out to all you guys. All you guys are amazing. It was amazing being able to spend that time with them and hang out in the city and play test before the event itself. It was awesome. I had an amazing experience, and dude, it's something I'll never forget. So the event was absolutely incredible, of course. Um, but more so than that, it was the actual beforehand that I enjoyed the most, and I wish I would have had more of. So going forward, I think if I'm ever going to go travel as far as I did for an event like that and fly like that, I really want to spend more time in the city itself. Because honestly, at the end of the day, I realized that the tournament was cool. Of course, I wanted to play in the tournament because I'm passionate about this game. I want to perform, but honestly, I really enjoyed just visiting Las Vegas and being able to do stuff. So that was incredible. Shout out to Bearded Collectibles, amazing sponsor, really supportive of myself leading up to the event. Just a great group to be in, great group to talk to you and be able to share ideas with and things like that going forward into the event. And of course, Alex, an amazing shop owner and great member of the community. So again, thank you to Beard Collectibles. And gosh, dude, I can't even describe, like, so many people, so many members of the Scrub fam came up and they talked to me, and they told me how much they loved the content that I produce, and that was probably one of the most rewarding feelings. People were asking to take pictures with me and things like that, and dude, that was insane. Shout out to Harry Potter, by the way. Trust me, I remember. But man, I just can't get over just how amazing this community is, just in person, and of course online in any way. I mean, the community's great regardless of all the stuff you see. Mark Bolger, love you, man. Seriously, you're my hero. But other than that, the event was amazing. Again, the community is incredible. I had such a great time spending that time with everybody and being a bounty again, which was also really exciting. I had a lot of fun with that. So whenever I'd sit down, of course, my opponent would recognize who I was, which was really cool. And then, I take off my Bearded Collectibles hoodie, and I was just wearing my 3XG shirt, which had Scrub Fam on the back, and then I had my packs that I'd set down for being a bounty, and that was a lot of fun. And thank you again to Jim and ARG for the opportunity to be a bounty again, and I truly appreciate that. And again, the community in general, you guys are the reason why I am this, whatever this is that you guys appreciate and like. You guys are the reason why that I'm this. So I just really appreciate it. So before I get into the stuff I played, I want to talk about my event, because everyone messaged me and they wanted to know what happened. Your table one, you were 5-0. You're having a really good run. You're playing really well. What happened? So So going up to the event itself, I switched decks when I got to Vegas itself after playing a lot of games. And the deck I was originally on was Soul Striker Goku Blue Green, and I really liked the deck. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think the deck is great, but the thing is what I was finding was there were some games that could go sideways relatively easily against a lot of the metagame. And I really didn't want to have to be relying on a card to awaken, and I honestly wanted to play a really proactive strategy. And so leading up to the event itself, I was trying to find that deck, trying to find something proactive, and I was watching a lot of Magic. And I started watching stuff with Brian Kibler, and if you guys know who Kibler is, he plays all really proactive strategies and things like that. And so that, of course, had me inspired. So I was on the chase for something like that. So when the deck came along that we started testing and playing and, tuning and tweaking, like, I decided to hop to that deck because I figured, you know what, this is how I want to play the format right now. I want to be fast, I want to be proactive, I want to be aggressive. And so I ended up playing the deck, which I'll go over. But so it happened to me. And this will be honestly, I think this is a good lesson for myself to go through again, and I think this is a good lesson for everyone else to listen to. So I was 5-0. I was having a really good run, and in my games that I was undefeated, so I went 5-0, the things I focused on weren't winning or losing. That's the most important thing you guys have to remember, is that when you want to play really well, you shouldn't focus on the result. You shouldn't focus on winning or losing. You should focus on playing your absolute best and staying centered, staying calm, and just staying regular. No matter what happens, what your opponent draws, if they're fortunate, you just have to stay even. And that's something that I was doing all day, and I was just playing through it. So if my opponent had a fortunate draw, that was okay. I would just play through it and then just find my outs. If I have an out, play to my out, and go from there. And then also just make sure that I'm playing my game, forcing my opponent to react to me, and just staying consistent, staying tight, not making any play mistakes. And for the first 5 rounds of the tournament, and even the 6th round, I did that. I played really tight, really clean. The issue came about in round 6 when I was playing against Tim. Tim Palacios, amazing opponent, amazing player. He's a great player. He's playing a great deck. He top 32, had an amazing record. And we played, we only played 2 games. But I was on the draw in game 1. And, you know, he had a really good start. He had Manaka's objections, everything like that. And I was like, okay, that's fine. Well, you know, we're going to play this out. We're going to try and find a way to win. And so we got down to the end of the game. And I swung with an energy-powered Gotenks, get him down on cards. I end up comboing over because I need to push him from 3 to 2. So I push. He attempts to try and get over me, so he plays a Dodoria, rips a card. It's not the card he needs, and so he ends up having to take the damage anyway, so he goes to 2. Well, then I play. I only have 1 energy open, or I only have 2 energy open. I play a 1-drop Bulma, and he bloodlusts the Bulma, putting himself down to 1. Hilarious. I have game in my hand. I have Unyielding Spirit Trunks, I have Sensu Beans, and I have tons of cards to combo with to win the game. And I swing with Bulma, and he negates. But he reveals to me that he drew the negate off the Dodoria. So he didn't have the out in his hand. He top decked the out on the previous play, and that didn't sit well. But I was like, okay, it's fine. We'll move on to game 2. Whatever, we're good. And I was like, okay, I'll stay even. I'll keep playing. Let me see what happens. So we get to game 2. We get down to the end of the game, and we have a similar situation, but now the end of the game is me playing a Jocko. I play a Jocko onto the field, and I'm getting myself ready to swing. When I play the Jocko, he bloodlusts it to put himself down the 1, and he rips a card from his life. His hand's really low, and he doesn't really have too many cards to combo with, and I know that. So I swing with Jocko, and my hand's not the best, but I have a way to win the game, and I chose Jocko because he's a 16K and he makes the math weird. So I swing, and he combos, and he has a Sensu Bean. Well, he ripped the Sensu Bean off of his life when he bloodlusted. So again, 2 games in a row, he found the exact card he needed to stay alive, and he revealed it to me, and that triggered me. That put me on edge. That put me on tilt. And after that happened, after those set of games, it didn't sit well with me, and I fell into the trap of letting it affect me. I let it affect the way I was feeling, and I let it all the fatigue and the hunger, all that stuff started to set in, and it just became like quicksand. I just kept thinking about it. I just kept thinking, like, man, I should be 6-0 right now. Like, I played really tight. I did everything that I could to try and win those games, and I played the way that I wanted to play, but he just ended up ripping his outs off of just, top decks or luck draws, and he was on the defense. I had lethal. I had a way to win the game, and I just kept replaying it over and over and over again. And so I went into the next round, and now whenever something good happened for my opponent, it would just immediately trigger me, and that just led me down this really dark set of games where I just was fixating too much on whenever something went right for them instead of focusing on how I was going to win the game. And I inevitably ended up losing 2 straight matches. That's what happened. I was 5-0. Yes, my opponent got really fortunate in round 6, but I mean, Tim played great. Tim put himself in a position where if he did top deck stuff, he would win. And I get it, the variance of the game and things like that happen, but I let it affect me, and it really stunk because, again, like I said, I wasn't focusing on trying to play tight anymore. I was just focusing on just trying to get through the next 3 rounds, and I was just getting triggered by everything my opponents would do. So, if my opponent ripped extra Dodorias off the top, or if they, had another answer, even if they just had played an answer and they had another one, and I would just start getting so triggered by those, and I just wouldn't focus on playing my absolute best. And honestly, that's what led to me losing my next 2 matches, and I ended up being 5-3, and I just dropped from the tournament at that point because I knew that the day was over. I knew that X3 couldn't make it in because of the size of the field. We did the math, and so I was rest assured, well assured, that once I received my third loss, that I was done. I mean, if I would have managed to win one of those games and be 6-2, I would have played the last round to try and play it out. But at that point, I was tired, I was hungry, I was frustrated. I lost the third game, and then I just finished the tournament. I was done. So, looking back on it, I picked the right deck for the day. And I'll stand by that. Even though the Soul Striker Gokus did really well, I feel like I picked the right deck for myself to be able to perform really well that day, and I let myself get in the way of my success by getting triggered. So those losses are 100% my fault. I'm not making excuses for anybody or for myself at all. I take full ownership of the fact that I wasn't calm, I wasn't cool, I wasn't collect like I normally am. And the thing is I learned this lesson when I played the Panini Z game. You know, I would focus solely on playing every game straight through. And that's the reason why I was so successful in that game. That's the reason why I was so consistent, was because I never let anything bother me. I always stayed even when my opponent had fortunate draws. And I just focused on playing the best game I possibly could until the last cards were drawn, until the last damage was dealt. And through the first 5 rounds, actually first 6 rounds at the event, I did that. I played really tight, but I did let my opponent in round 6, getting really fortunate, get the best of me, and that ultimately led to me going on a bad run and, you know, taking all the momentum that I had, and I threw it away. So I had the opportunity in my hands to make top cut, but of course, like I said, I let myself down. And so this is a good, you know, good opportunity for myself as a player to reset and get ready for Richmond. But I'm happy with the progress that I made from the last event to this event. You know, I decided to play something that was more meta, and it was the right decision. I didn't play anything that was fun like I did at Hartford. That was just basically a combo deck. I decided to play something really straightforward, and I really wanted to capitalize on the format itself, and I just wanted to be the fastest deck, and I played that way. And that's another thing too, like all my rounds leading up to that, and including that round, I did exactly what I wanted to do, exactly how I wanted to play the deck, which I think may be different from the way the other people in my group played the deck, except for Dakota, because Dakota's an absolute animal. Like, I love that guy. He plays the deck so perfect. Like, he's amazing to watch. I think, you know, he plays the deck so uniquely that he just makes it work really well. Michael Joe Vogt, he played the deck as well and had a really good run with it too. He also finished X3. But overall, I think we had a really good showing. I think my record was it was respectable, but it's not what I wanted. You know, I really wanted to get the top 32, and you know, honestly, for you guys, you know, I know that you guys enjoy my content and things like that, but you know, I do want to be known as one of the top players within the game, and that is something that I do want to strive for, and especially with all this PPG stuff. Like, those guys are talented, don't get me wrong. I think they are. I think they're really talented, but I do think I could do this. I think I could take it down. I think I'm smart enough. I think that I deck build really well enough. I think I have a lot of really good solid game theory, and I think with all these little steps I keep taking from Hartford to this event, and you know, the way I read the format and just talking about the game with people, I really think I have a knack for this, and I'm excited to see what I can do at Richmond. And instead of being demotivated by the results of Vegas, which at first, you know, I was kind of salty about the format, and because, you know, Mecha Frieza is, regardless of the results of Las Vegas, Mecha Frieza is still the best deck in the game. It put 14 people in the top 32. That's almost 50% of top 32. I get it didn't win the event, but it is the most consistent leader in the game. So, it's still the best deck in the format. Shout out to Marcel Russell on the win. You were playing the right deck 100%. You played the right deck in Orlando, you played the right deck in Vegas, and you got the win, deservedly so, because your performance at Orlando was incredible, and now your performance here in Vegas, like I said, you played the perfect deck for the event itself. My deck is very similar. I didn't look at your list. I went off of me and Dakota. I looked at Dakota's list, and then I built off of like what I thought, like what I would initially run, and then we kind of put our two builds together, and then we ended up forming what we did. But Marcel Russell, this list is similar to your list, and honestly, I think it's the right way to play Vegeta in this format. My list is different. I don't run many 4-ofs, but my game plan is also different too. I don't know how you play it. We'll have to talk sometime. But anyway, I'll jump into the deck profile. But I really hope you guys, you know, like the lesson on this, or you're making sure you don't get triggered and making sure you stay involved, because honestly, if you don't, that's going to affect your results. It affected me, and it was rough. I had a rough go of it. And again, Tim Palacios, he's an amazing opponent, and he's an amazing player. So amazing players who play really well deserve to get lucky sometimes, and that's going to happen. I have to remember that, because you know what? I'm going to get fortunate draws too, and sometimes I'm going to be on the bad side of them. And I just have to keep recognizing that and just get myself back to that place like I was before in Panini Z, where I'm prepared for it. I'm ready for it. I know it can happen. I have to take it. I have to take it into the range, the realm of possibilities, and my opponent's just going to top deck their outs when they need to, and I just have to just stay level. All right, so let me go to the deck that I was playing. So I was playing blue-green aggro Vegeta, and so initially I told you guys that I was playing Soul Striker, and the issue that I found was if games ever went on too long and I couldn't close them out, or if I played against Mecha Freeze and I got to a point where they were able to take the lead and then start deploying their removal and bloodlusting my threats and then playing removal, I felt like I couldn't win the game a lot of the time. And so I wanted to play something that was fast, something that can easily get through a game, win a game, and close out games really quick. And so I decided to play Blue-Green Vegeta aggro, or as I call it Blue-Green Vegeta Heroic, because this deck plays like Bant Heroic or Blue-White Heroic from Magic, where I just want to stick a dude at the end of the game. Like if you leave me something on the table at the end of a game, it's probably going to be the thing that kills you. I killed multiple opponents with Majin Boos. I attempted to swing for lethal with Bulma, Jocko. Like, if my opponent ever left something on the table for me to use, that would end up being their downfall. I'd end up killing them with it. And then, of course, Vegeta was an amazing leader, to get the strategy going. But so let me go through the deck list itself. So for Boos, 4 energy boosted Majin Buu. It's a cantrip. You have to play it in blue. It's an amazing card. 3 Bulma Support of the Futures. This is just a tutor, full power Trunks, and also it can either fix our energy or help us get set up for the late game and swing for game. A lot of times when you play this card and you have full power Trunks in the deck, this kind of makes the jig up. But the thing that's interesting about this play is, like, if you Bulma for one and already have one in your hand and you charge one, your opponent will think that you just charge it to fix your energy, and then so you can surprise them with one later. 4 10k boosts because you have to play them. 4 Unyielding Spirit Trunks. This card is one of the centerpieces of the deck. This allows you to do so much on your turns. This is often what allowed me to swing for lethal with my threats when my opponent wasn't expecting it, because I would just be able to tap all my energy, swing. They would think they were okay, not negate it, and then unyielding, bean, 10Ks across the board, and then swing for game. 3 Sun Goten Family of Justice. Didn't play 4 in the main. I thought 3 in the main was fine. I would side in the 4th against decks that had pesky 3-drops or stuff that was in the mirror, and that would always end up being pretty effective. But a lot of times playing the 4th and testing didn't feel necessarily too good. You're usually charging it, or it was stuck in your hand and it was a 1+5k, so it never really was too effective. I could see playing 4, especially as the format goes forward and people start to play more decks like this, because this card is great, of course, in the mirror. 4 Raging Spirit Son Gohans. I love this card. This, again, was something where if my opponent was attacking me, I'd be able to use this, especially in the mirror, to be able to, okay, I'll stop your crit, and then I'll put a threat down, and then now I'll be able to untap. Now I have 2 threats, and my board starts building. And a lot of times these Raging Spirit Son Gohans would kind of hang around until the later parts of the game, because opponents didn't want to spend a removal on them. They wanted to spend a removal on threats that were actually, like, scary. And so a lot of times this guy would end up just putting pressure on the opponent. So sometimes I would have a board state of multiple of these energy-powered Gotenks, Assailant Vegetas, and then I would just start swinging at the opponent and just whittling them down and just putting pressure in order to, whittle their hand down and then swing for game. 4 energy-powered Gotenks, probably the best card in the deck, best attacker in the deck. This is great. Once your Vegeta is getting low on life, you have the ability to start swinging and, creating difficult situations for opponent. This was also a lot of the times the way I would get my opponent from 3 to 2 was energy-powered Gotenks, because, of course, the discard. So most of the time their hands are already getting pretty low because they're trying to defend themselves. So you swing with energy-powered Gotenks, they discard, you combo over to get them to 2, and then now you're either swinging with a Raging Spirit Son Gohan, your leader, or an energy-boosted Majin Buu because he's a straight savage. 4 Furthering Instruction Champa because you have to play it. Double Strike Crit is really good. A lot of times the rhythm on my game was turn 1, activate Crit, play a blue, play a Buu, swing with leader, sack a Buu, be a 15k, get them down to 7. Next turn would be swinging with a Champa and something else to get them to 5. And then if they couldn't awaken themselves, I can sit them if I need to. Or if I have another Champa, I'm just going to push them from 5 to 3. So that would be how most of the games play out. But this is, of course, the centerpiece of the deck. You need this card to win a lot of your games. 2 Assailant Vegetas. A lot of people that I talked to, they weren't necessarily, like, they always wanted to know what my thought process was of playing any of these in the main deck itself. And the reason why is because I really wanted more 3-drop threats. I really wanted a total cop, like I wanted 6 3-drops that I could play in a game that would give me something that wouldn't net my opponent a card. And I also liked Assailant Vegeta because let's say if my life was too low, I could play an Assailant Vegeta and still be able to do double strike crit without having to pay the life. And so Assailant Vegeta was really important in that, and that's why I played it in the main deck. 3 Determined Super Saiyan Son Gohan and 3 Hidden Awakening Kale. I'll be 100% honest with you, I rarely played these in my games. My games were usually over before these mattered, if that makes any sense. But these are really good looking green energy for the most part. I could see playing less depending on how aggressive you want the build to be. But I really liked playing 3 and 3. I liked having, access to just harsh removal and then Kales, because honestly Kales just pay off so much with the possible additional card draw, and because the card advantage that Kale can create because of being a 20k body, swinging at your opponent and then having to combo over it to stop themselves from taking critical. So no matter what, your opponent ends up spending a card. Whereas, Determined Super Saiyan Son Gohan being a 15k is kind of rough. I think going forward, my philosophy is going to be changing a lot. I like Determined Super Saiyan Son Gohan, don't get me wrong, the card's great. 15k critical kill anything is really strong, but my biggest issue with it is it being a 15k. Because there were times where, like, if I ever had to deploy these, which usually when I started playing removal, I was losing. And so what ended up happening is once I deployed this, turned it sideways, my opponent would then just swing with their leader, and then I would either have to play a card to combo over it or let it die. And so oftentimes I was just letting it die. If my opponent invested cards to kill it, I would just let it die so I could stay up on cards. And then Kale, like I said, was just better because of the card advantage it generates. 3 full power Trunks. This is often a way that you can win the game, just because your opponent doesn't really respect the triple strike, or they don't think it's coming. And like I said before, you can often bait your opponent into thinking it's not there because you can tutor one and then charge one and then have one in hand, because you're going to see a lot of the cards in the deck. And so this is one of the main ways that you can end the game, especially once you get your opponent from 7 to 5 to 3. Once they're at 3 and you can essentially have your Unyielding Spirit Trunks to untap, you can play a full power Trunk sometimes the same turn that you get them to 3, and then end up swinging for a game relatively easily, especially if they're tapped out. And that's why being on the play in this deck is so much better. Being on the play and you are playing against something that, like, let's say if it isn't Mecha Frieza, you have the ability to get this card down way faster than the opponent can do anything to handle it. And like I said, Unyielding Spirit Trunks is really the MVP, because it just, your opponent doesn't think lethal's coming when you tap out for 4 and play a threat. And so once you start deploying these, you can really close a game relatively fast because they don't know it. And then your hand's just huge. You have 11 to 13 cards, and then you just combo out to win. 3 Bean, 3 Coercion main deck. If anything, I don't think you need all the coercions. 3 felt better than 2, though, and so my option was to play 4 Bean, 2 Coercion, which is what Dakota did in his list. Senzu Bean, again, also plays a similar role to Unyielding Spirit Trunks, but I didn't think that playing the 4th was 100% necessary, especially with all the additional cards I wanted to play in the deck. But I could see myself playing 4 Bean, 4 Coercion, similar to Marcel Russell's list that he played, because the Bean on offense is just too good to go with your Unyieldings, and of course your 4th weak Coercion is just good, especially in a format that has stuff like Cell that's trying to push you from 5 to 3 and make you take cards. And Coercion's great against Cell because you can just negate the attack, it's 1 less card in your hand, and then your opponent is having to try and push more to be able to get you lower. And then 3 Jackos, felt good. I never really wanted a 4th. I often charge this. Sometimes I played it as a threat. But otherwise, yeah, 3 Jackos felt really good. And then just being able to bounce stuff, it's just another way to bridge to keep you alive. And that was one thing in this deck that you have to, when you're playing it and being super aggressive, is all you're trying to do is just get an extra turn so you can swing for lethal. Again, I was playing this deck at 1,000,000 miles per hour. I wanted my games over before my opponent hit their... If I was on the play, I wanted to win on my 4th turn, so before they hit their 4th energy or 5th energy for their game. And if I was on the draw, I wanted to do it on my turn 4 as well. So anything I could do to put pressure on my opponent, and I really only needed enough defense to get myself 1 extra turn a lot of the time. And with Vegeta's ability, I was ripping it every turn no matter what, all the way down to 1. This deck, when you're playing it, your win percentage goes up the more aggressive you are, but at the same time you put yourself at risk. But I was activating this ability every single turn. I had to get myself to awaken before my opponent, I had to generate massive card advantage, and then I had to be able to swing for game as fast as possible, and that's what I did. A lot of the games, like I said, I scoop people up really fast, and that's all I wanted to do. I just wanted to force my opponent to have the answer over and over again, and when they didn't, I would just punish them for it. Sideboard, I ran 4 Objections, 2 Father-Son Kamehameha, and 2 Mysterious Presence Manaka. This was strictly for Cell. I felt that Cell was the absolute worst matchup for this deck. A lot of the times, and Cell and Androids, that is, were the absolute worst matchups for this deck. So you need to be able to have ways to get your hand size low, and then also ways to deal with the Cell bodies. And of course, Father-Son Kamehameha is really good against the Androids too, because like once they drop in Android 17 on turn 3, they'll play it for 2, and then you'll be able to kill it with a Father-Son Kamehameha if you need to, or if they have a TN that they don't use right away, you can Father-Son Kamehameha. And then, of course, the Cells, you can kill those. And the Mysterious Presence Manaka is really good against Cell in general. And then, of course, the 4 Objections just to keep hand size low and then get ahead on mana. 2 Assailant Vegetas. A lot of times, if I was on the play, it was really play draw dependent. Like, if I was basically on the play, I would want to go bigger, because I would hit my 4th energy faster than my opponent, unless I was playing the mirror. If I was playing the mirror, I would go smaller, because I just wanted to deploy more threats, and I wanted removal not to matter at that point, because the more threats you can play for cheaper energy in the mirror, the more often you're going to be able to win the game, and your removal doesn't matter as much, because all you're trying to do in the mirror is awaken before the opponent, get your opponent down to 3 or less, and then swing for game with the full power Trunks or further instruction Champa on one of your mini threats that you deploy. So that's why this card was incredibly important in that matchup. But Assailant Vegeta was just another way for me to get the curve lower, not focus so much on the 4 drops, especially the removal, and then just trying to win the game that way. 1 Coercion, 1 Bean. A lot of times these would be sided in aggro matchups or the mirror, and it was relatively easy to make those switches because you would just pop these out, pop these in, take the 2 Assailant Vegetas out, and then now you'd have a little bit more stabilization in those matchups. And then 4th Sun Goten Family of Justice. This is really helpful against any decks that played stuff like Android 16, or if they played Ready to Strike Piccolo, which I did face multiple times. Or if you're playing against stuff like Ability Unleash Ultimate Gohan. So you could swing at your opponent's leader, and then no negates, whatever. Okay, Sun Goten, kill that. And then now you just gotta, 2 for 1, because your opponent's either gonna have to spend a card, or they're gonna take a damage. You accomplished 2 things that you wanted. And then 1 Gohan, 1 Kale. These would get sided in, of course, like I said, if I needed to go bigger. So the 2 Assailant Vegetas would come out, these would come in, and that always felt really good. And a lot of times I would just sometimes switch either or, depending on the matchup. So if I noticed my opponent was playing a lot of pesky low drops, I would actually side out a Gohan, put in a 4th Kale, or the opposite. If they weren't, I would side out Kale, put in a 4th Gohan. And that always worked really well for me in my games that I played and things like that. But otherwise, this is the deck I played. I had a really good time with it. Marcel Russell's list is a lot more pure. He plays a lot more 4-ofs, and I think that is a really good way to go. Generates consistency. I went more so, like I said, I wanted to stay aggressive, and really, you can tell by looking at my list the things that are important to me, just by the cards that I do play 4 of, which this is important to me, 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 and this is important to me. Because, dude, I won so many games with Boo. Like, they would just leave a Boo on the table, dude. Like, it was terrible, and I would just feel like, swing lead, they'd be like negate, I'd be like swing Boo, they'd be like no negates, and I'd be like, alright, furthering 10k, 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 unyielding, 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 bean, 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 like, and just dump my hand, and it was like, 1 in 5 double strike, energy boost, and Majin Buu per game, and they were just like, yeah, I can't do anything. So it was a lot of fun. This deck was really cool. I really like it a lot. I thought the sideboard plan was pretty solid for this event itself. Going forward, there are some things that I would change. And honestly, I don't know if I'm going to play this deck in Richmond. Probably not. I think I'm off of it now. Everyone is well aware of what this deck can do. Marcel Russell has showed it multiple events now. Dakota, who played it in top 32, made top 16. He did really well with it. So this is going to be on everyone's radar. Everyone's going to start testing against Vegeta decks like this. Just really fast, really aggressive decks. And so the format, I think in general, going forward, you're going to have these really aggro Vegeta decks trying to end the game fast. You're going to have Androids, which Androids still a sleeper. Androids are still really good. And they made top 32. I think they should have gone further. If they would have gotten the right pairings, I think if the Android decks would have saw Vegeta, I think the Android decks would have ended up doing better in the event itself. And then, of course, you have Mecha Frieza, which Mecha Frieza, like I said, is still the best deck in the format. You still have to worry about it going into your events. But otherwise, guys, Las Vegas was insane. Shout out to everyone that I stayed with again. Shout out to Bearded Collectible. Shout out to you guys, man. Scrub fam is best fam. I can't get over it. Like, you guys are absolutely amazing. I had the time of my life meeting all of you. I had the time of my life in Vegas. Like, seriously. Las Vegas was amazing. And please, remember, I hope that the beginning of this video helps you guys. Remember, make sure you don't get triggered. Make sure you stay even. Make sure you play all your games 100% and just play tight. You're going to be successful if you do that. And I truly wish the best for all you guys going forward. And again, hit me up if you have any questions, comments, concerns, personal crises. You want to talk about the format, you want to talk about decks to play, you want to talk about just game theory, like hit me up. I always love talking about it. This game is great. Format, as much as I don't like it, it's okay. But I'm still motivated. And PPG, bro, I'm coming for you. I respect all of you. I think you're all amazing players, but I'm in there. I can make this happen. I hope to see you guys in Richmond. I hope to see all you guys in Richmond and Charlotte. I'll be at both of those. Please come see me, come hang out, come talk. Again, it was amazing meeting all you guys at Las Vegas, and I truly appreciate everything you guys have done for me. Please be sure to subscribe. Please be sure to get your friends to subscribe. We're on the chase for 1,000 subscribers. You guys are amazing. Please check out beardcollectibles.com, the apparel section. You can get your 3XG shirt. I'm not wearing it right now, but I was wearing it at the event. It's white, has 3XG logo, has hashtag ScrubFam on the back. Get your Team Bearded hat, Team Bearded hoodies. Dude, the hoodies are lit. Hoodies are amazing, super comfortable. Again, thank you guys so much. Community is amazing. Love you. Okay, bye!